Glad to know you're still with us. But I'll be joined now by Olusegun Okwade. Olusegun Okwade is the district chair for Ikeja ICANN. Well, thank you for joining us again today, Olusegun Okwade.
Good morning, Perpetual, and good morning to all our viewers this morning. My pleasure to be with you.
All right. Well, we're looking at the top 4 stories. We'll start with the very first one. Federal government is disbursing 173 billion naira for uniform price nationwide. I'd like you to speak to that.
Thank you very much. I read through the write-up for the reason for doing this, and I asked myself, why are we wasting resources and not doing what just is needful? We said pull out subsidy, let every area get chunk of what it looks like in getting this product for one another. We have the refinery spread around the 6 geopolitical zone. And if you are processing that, we would have been giving leeway for individuals to. These are funds that we should use for other things. We keep complaining there is no money and we are borrowing money. So for me, I don't think it's the right step in the right direction, trying to disburse funds to equalize the payment across board. Let the forces of demand and supply please its role, make the product available for people to have access to, and at whatever cost we have it, we'll move it to flow.
Well, talking about that, there are those who are saying when we lift the subsidy or when the subsidy is finally removed, it's going to have a dire impact or dire consequences on the everyday Nigerian. So if we're talking about removing subsidy, we know the ripple effect that will have at the end of the day, because for everything in Nigeria, it's hinged on the price of petroleum products to a very large extent. Now, talk to us. How can we ensure that we alleviate the impact that this could probably cause the average Nigerian when it is eventually done? Because from the 2023 budget, we can see that subsidy ends by first half 2023.
Yeah, part of the things that we know that the government needs to do first is if you are removing the subsidy, as we speak, they've not removed subsidy. We are not having equal purchase of this. I saw on the TV which day of woman telling us I bought a litre for about 500. Even in Lagos, if you need to get through the black market, I'm sure you know it's not the same price. If you want to avert queue, spending long things. So for me, part of the things government needs to do, if they are pulling out subsidy, is to provide other things that this we use some of this fuel for, this PMX for, to reduce the consumption. Take, for example, put the power infrastructure in place. Do you know that bulk of the things that we use this fuel for is not just only for movement around? We use bulk of it for powering our generator, the alternative power supply. If we can fix the power sector in such a way that there will be 24-hour supply, then you discover that some of the fuel that we use in powering the system will definitely reduce, and we can stem things down. So it's not only you are buying fuel for your vehicle, you are buying fuel for your alternative power supply, and some other things that you need to do. So we want them to fix those other areas where these PMX is being using, so that the average consumption can actually go down. Then we can see the availability out there.
All right. While I see that as a long-term plan, I was actually looking at, maybe a mid-term plan, sort of something to just cushion the effect. But very quickly, we'll move on to the next story. This story is about foreign interest in the agricultural sector reducing by 37.9%. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, well, I'm sure you know that the environment where we operate currently is really not friendly to the foreign investment. And when you talk about agriculture, because of the high level of insecurity, it has actually reduced the investment in that sector. If we are saying that as we speak, it's about 37.9%, I think it's still fair, because you understand that majority of the people that are into agriculture, whether the mechanized one or the old way of doing it, have actually been out of business in recent time, because You hardly have the opportunity to go to farm if you don't want to waste your life. So I think the only area where we need to nip it at the bud is to see how we can improve the security apparatus in such a way that the people that are investing in this can have the normal and the lower cadre people practicing this business. Its security is very, very key. And until that is fixed, we may not be going anywhere. We might see it nosediving even as we move into 2022. 2023.
All right, that's really scary. Quickly, talk to us about Nigerian passport falling by 38 places. What do you have to say about that? If you can hear me.
Hello, Perpetual. Okay, you're back now.
All right. I was asking you what you have to say about Nigeria's passport falling by 38 places.
Hello, Perpetual. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay, I'm hearing you now.
Okay. I said talk to us about Nigeria's passport falling by 38 places.
Okay, if I hear you clearly, talking about the Nigerian passport index falling by 38 places in the global passport, it's quite disheartening, and you know, this usually be via a bilateral.
Can you hear me?
Freely. Yeah, I can't hear you before, but I don't know if you're hearing me.
Yes, I can hear you. Do go ahead, please.
Of the bilateral agreement between countries have been working well. You can.
All right, can you hear me now? Okay, if you can hear me, we've talked about the Nigerian passport. I want to believe you spoke about that. Very quickly now, let's talk about the new Naira notes in circulation. We have a situation where CBN was in the market talking to the people, and then they said that there is enough, that we have enough of the new notes. Speak to that.
Yeah, well, as per
Well, I guess the network right here isn't good enough. If you can hear me, I'd like you to go on ahead and speak to that. Okay.
Well, I say as per the new Naira note circulation, the CBN seems not to be doing enough, because as we speak, I still branched to an ATM to use this morning, and it's still dispensing the old currency. So if we must have it, that's one of the first point of contact that we can spread this issue of the new currency. I think the government should nip it on the bud and make policy of making sure there is a new note that we should have in our ATM. And from there, when you collect, let's say 5,000, you can share with people around you in the process of you buying or engaging in a transaction. So they must nip that on the bud to make sure that from ATM, from POS, we have some of this currency, even from the bank. The disheartening thing that we are saying is that we see more of the new note at the party and Owambe, and it's not available for individuals that want to make use of it. Then we should start looking for a way to checkmate those activity. But as we speak, it's still not yet in outright circulation. I still use ATM this morning. If they want me to give the location, it still dispense old cash, and that should be discouraged if the bank to say that they have.
I'd like you to talk a bit more about your experience. So when you withdrew the cash this morning, was it 200 Naira notes, or was it did you have other denominations?
Still the higher bills that I withdrew. I did 5,000, and I don't think they've configured that system to the rules of CBN, saying that it's only 200 Naira that I must dispense.
But what does that say really about policies? Because if the CBN gives a policy, and then we see that this policy is not being adhered to by the banks or the institutions that are supposed to, be the ones to run with these policies, what do you think is the cause of that, and how can we really address these situations?
Because there are no serious sanctions that deter some of these people. We hear of some of those sanctions. I'm sure you know sanctions is not free. When they slam you heavily, it will affect your bottom line. But most of the time, we hear that they slam them, but because we don't know whether the money the banks are making from us is too humongous, that is not impacting on their bottom line. But if it does, it will definitely serve as deterrent of them adhering to some of this policy. But for me, most of the time they give the instruction, and it takes a little while before some of these policy are implemented by the commercial bank. I did that so that I can affirm what is going on. But I want to believe that before the end of maybe this week, next week, we'll start seeing some of those things. This, you can see compliance possibly in the CBD, the CBD business development area. But for all those other ATMs that we have at the store, the ATMs that we have at the mall, the ATMs that we have at a rural area where you and I are staying, where those banks are, you discover that policies, adherence of policy in those areas are always small. You can go to Ikeja and see some of these things working out. You can go to VI and see some of this working out because they are very close to the HQ, to the center of power. But when you come to the remote areas where you have those banks, you discover that those things are not being adhered to. And that is an area where the CBN needs to watch out. It's not just doing it in the central business area or the center of attraction, but take it to the rural area. Those are the people that will feel the bite. Because where I use this money is not the heart hub of Lagos, it's the suburb of Lagos, and that's what we have.
All right, thank you so much, Lucia Okwade. I mean, we could have said a lot more, but we just have to stop it here. Thank you for coming on the show today.
Thank you very much, Perpetua, for having me.
We'll take a break now. When we come back, we'll delve into the stock market review. Stay with us. We'll be right back.